with just understanding what is out there, and
Right.
most of what's out there fall under certain philosophies of homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
There's the traditional philosophy, there's unit studies, there's
Mm-hmm.
classical, Charlotte Mason, and then there's unschooling, free spirit. Those are kinds of words that you're going to hear all the time.
Right.
Um, and so traditional is, if you're coming out of public school, that's going to be what your kids were doing for the most part.
Yeah.
It's what
Mm-hmm.
most of us are familiar with. It's, you read the text, you answer the
Mm-hmm.
questions, you memorize facts, you take tests.
Yep.
The vast majority of curriculum follow traditional method. If you went to
Mm.
public school or a traditional Christian school, chances are you use traditional curriculum.
Right.
Unit studies are also pretty familiar.
Mm.
And again, if they came out of public school, if you've come out of public school, or if you're using traditional curriculum, a lot of times they have built-in unit studies, or unit studies is just a part of it. So unit
Right.
studies you pick a certain subject and you zoom in on it. We do
Mm.
this for science when we study a unit on mammals, or we do
Mm-hmm.
this for history when we do a unit on pilgrims or the Egyptians.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if schools stray from traditional, it is usually in the direction of doing unit studies.
Ah.
Classical is something that popped up right before I started homeschooling, and it
Mm.
was pretty much started with a book called The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer.
Yes, I
And
remember
its
reading
focus
that.
is on teaching children to think critically.
Mm-hmm.
During the elementary years, children learn facts and memorize them.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle school, children learn to think logically based on those facts, and then in high school, they formulate what they believe, and then are able to express their beliefs in speaking and writing.
Mm-hmm.
Classical education, history is its guiding tool. So with literature books they kind of go together, and
Right.
it's kind of a living book kind of idea.
Mm.
History is taught in order from ancients to modern,
Mm-hmm.
and literature and the other subjects, science, math, languages, are all tied into it. And then classical education is considered is kind of very language focused. So that's kind of your
Yeah.
classical approach. Charlotte Mason and Charlotte Mason wasn't really a keyword when my oldest were going through, so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
ever even understand it
Yeah, we
until,
had a whole hour last week where we just
yeah,
did Charlotte Mason. So,
yeah,
yep. Mm-hmm.
it's newer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another style of learning that is based around doing rather than just sitting and listening.
Mm-hmm.
The emphasis is on reading living books, studying history in order. Both of those are actually like
Right.
classical, so
Uh-huh.
the two of them kind of go together in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte Mason believes in short lessons and learning to write through narration and dictation. They do a lot of music study, nature study, other hands-on
Hmm.
learning. It's very child focused. And it's a great option. And
Right.
then there's the unschooling, and people think you can't. Unschooling is like, that's not schooling, okay? But unschooling is actually a type of homeschooling.
Yes, we spent
Um,
a whole hour on that too a couple weeks
okay,
ago. So
so
yes, if you want more, I interviewed Dr. Peter Gray that wrote Free to Learn. Fascinating interview. So definitely go back and watch that if you want to learn more about unschooling.
its fundamental drive is very student led,
Hmm.
so or child focused, as opposed to teacher or parent led. So if the child is interested in rockets, then they're encouraged to study and learn everything they can about rockets, and then you as a mom are coming alongside and you are creating math lessons and writing lessons and history lessons that all go in with that rocket focus, so that you're just
Hmm.
pulling it all together for that child. So those are kind of the five basic types um, of philosophies that most of the curriculum fall under one or the other of those.